Welcome to the PapaCast on the gridiron. Now here's your host, Bob Papa.
Welcome to another edition of the PapaCast as we get you set for Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara. And joining me, my co-host on SiriusXM NFL Radio, the one, the only, Shannon Sharpe joins us here on the show. And Shannon, I know where your heart is in this football game. You are a Denver Bronco through and through. How excited are you to see your guy John Elway and this Denver Bronco organization, the Bolin family, get another crack at it?
I'm very excited, because, as it started the season, after our last offseason, after the Broncos lost in the divisional, John made a very unpopular decision. He fired a head coach that had won 4 straight AFC West titles, had taken the team to the Super Bowl. They had the number 1 overall seed twice, and, he got rid of Fox because he felt like the team in big games didn't play up to what he thought their capabilities were. And that was a very unpopular decision. And he hired a coach that had lost his job at the Houston Texans, and Gary Kubiak. He was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and he brought him in. And everybody said the West Coast system is archaic, it's outdated, and you can't win just trying to establish a run game and play passing off of it. And it's nice to see that when you have to go with your gut. You can get all the analytics you want, but when you're in those positions as a general manager and a head coach, a lot of what you do is gut feel. And he made a gut decision that he felt the team would be better served listening to a different voice, and that voice would be Gary Kubiak. And I'm very excited for Mr. Bolin family. Although we know he will not be there, this is so great for his wife, Miss Annabelle, and those kids to get an opportunity to get another crack, and hopefully they can bring it home this time.
All right, so we'll break down the game in just a bit, but I want to get to Cam Newton here because this guy is a lightning rod, and it just seems, Shannon, that it's kind of crazy that someone who's doing everything the right way, has got a smile on his face, is coming under such criticism. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it?
I really haven't because, our job is to critique and analyze players' play. Okay, interceptions. He's taking too many. He's throwing too many interceptions. Sacks. He's taking too many sacks. He's not reading the field. His completion percentage. But we're not talking about any of Cam Newton's play on the field. We're talking about dancing. We're not talking about 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Dancing. We're not talking about the 10 extra rushing touchdowns. Dancing. Not 15-1 regular season record. Not 2 wins convincingly in the playoffs. We're talking about a guy that's dancing. A guy that's having so much fun when we all say we want our athletes to play a kid game and play it at the highest level. They seem like they're enjoying themselves. He's doing that, and he's getting criticized. I don't really know what else he can do, but I think in all the criticism, I think it says more about the people that's offering up the criticism than it does Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, he brought race up, and I think you and I share the same brain on this thing. There is a segment, not everybody, but there's a segment of the population that this is probably somewhat, maybe even subconsciously, racially kind of motivated because guy doesn't get arrested, guy does so much in the community, so much that you don't even know about, yet we're talking about this guy because he dabs a little bit and he wears a Superman shirt?
The thing is that he is an African-American quarterback, and he's doing – see, if a wide receiver celebrates, we understand that because wide receivers are, they're looked at as being a me guy. Defensive backs, when they get interceptions and they do their thing, or a running back, we look at them, but we expect our quarterbacks to be almost politician-esque. We expect them to get up there and stand before the crowd because, the media, they're the face of the franchise, articulate the words, which he can do. And we want them to, okay, score a touchdown, you shake the guy's hand, and you shake the guy that caught the touchdown and ran the ball in, and you shake his hand and you say thank you. But that's not how he does it. See, we got to stop trying to pigeonhole people and wanting them to be how we want them to be and how we would do it if we were in that situation. That's him. He's 26 years old. He's enjoying himself. He is the de facto leader of the Carolina Panthers. The fans adore him. The kids love him, what he's been able to do. We had a problem with him having a towel on his head. It was said early on, why is he celebrating first down? They're losing. Why is he celebrating? They're losing. They're 15-1. They're winning. They're on their way to the Super Bowl. He's going to be the MVP. He played extremely well, 15-1 regular season record, and we're still finding ways to try and criticize him, and I just don't understand why. Even if you want to, which you can't, try and take race out of this. Why are we criticizing? You don't know if he's doing the dab correct. You don't know what's going on. You can't judge his dance moves, so what are we actually judging? What are we actually criticizing him for?
You know, when other guys celebrate, and look, Tom Brady has his way. He gets into it. There's fist pumps. There's, when Favre would run in for a touchdown.
All the cursing that he does pop on the sideline when his linemen mess up or the guys running the wrong route. And then people if you don't want to hear him cuss, don't put the mic in his face. Get away from him. You know, he's an emotional guy. He's a fiery guy. See, the way I look at it, and I've always felt this way, if we like someone, we'll make excuses for any behavior that they do. If we don't, the slightest thing they do will tick us off, and then we'll say, okay, I can't believe I hate that guy, or I dislike that guy.
So when Aaron Rodgers, and this is not a knock on these other guys, so anybody that's listening, I'm not knocking the other guys, but when he does the discount double check, and suddenly he's got B.J. Raji in a commercial with him, and they got all these commercials with, everybody says it's fun. Why is it fun for him? Why is it not fun for the other guy?
It's not. I mean, J.J. Watt and Nadan doing the Quan. He knocks the pass down. He wags his finger every single time he bats the ball down. He salutes every time he gets a sack. That's never been a problem. I don't know if it's ever been brought to anyone's attention, or he doesn't draw the criticism that Cam Newton does. Cam Newton won 15 games in the regular season. He's going to be the MVP, 35 touchdowns, another 10 rushing. He's done everything. And then off the field, the way he conducts himself in the community, the way he hands out Thanksgiving and Christmas meals and toys, and you see before the game he's talking with the kids and he's signing things for the kids. We still got to sign something. That's not enough because he's not acting like what we think or what some think should be appropriate for that position. It's almost like they treat the quarterback position like it's almost presidential, like it's not a person, it's an institution, and you should conduct yourself. Well, President Reagan wore brown suits. I haven't seen a president since him that wore a brown suit. He wore pinstripes. So what? That means that he should be criticized for the suits that he wore and not the policies that he made?
Fair point. Fair point. You played in 3 Super Bowls, and you were fortunate enough. You went 3-0. You won 2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Ravens. When I say Super Bowl to you, what's the first memory that jumps into your mind?
Well, probably watching them on television and seeing the team celebrate, and being a small kid from Glenville, Georgia. Like, wow, that would be really cool if I could ever, make it to the NFL. The NFL seems so far away from a kid my age, in my hometown, my background. It just seems so far away because I didn't know anyone personally. I didn't know anyone that knew someone that played professional football. So that was always my dream. And making it to the National Football League, and then, the Broncos had just won the Super Bowl the year I got drafted. They had just lost the Super Bowl the year before. So I'm like, okay. And then we go 6-10, my 6-10 on 5-11 my first year. I'm like, wow. And then we go to the AFC Championship game my second year, and I'm thinking, wow, we got a chance. We could actually go to the Super Bowl. And then we had some long years, and then we end up finally going. And I just remember the long bus ride over to the stadium, and I'm thinking to myself, a small-town kid from Glenville, Georgia, with a population of 3,500, 2 traffic lights, is going to play in the Super Bowl. And every television set in my hometown will be watching this game. I mean, it just seems so surreal. And then when John Mobley knocked that ball down and see the rush of players run onto the field, knowing that the culmination of all your dreams, and this is why you play, because you want to be known as a champion. That I'm going to be known as a champion. No matter what I accomplish from that point on, I will always be known as a Super Bowl champion. And when John took that knee to officially know that it's over, there's nothing else that can be done. There is nothing else that can be said. Wow, that's a great feeling. And the anxious moments and all the time you lifted the weights and all the time that you denied yourself certain foods and all the time you were selfish to a fault. Well, maybe you missed a recital, or maybe you missed a birthday party, or maybe you missed something that you probably had it not been for trying to accomplish your ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl, you probably would have been there. That's when you realize everything that you've done up until that point was worth it.
For the guys playing on Super Bowl Sunday that are going to experience that same bus ride that you had, that nervousness, that I can't believe I'm at this point. Some guys get overcome by the fear. What enabled you to not become paralyzed by the moment and actually be able to play?
Because all the hoopla, when you scrape away all the hoopla, it's still a football game. If you leave before the ball is snapped, they're going to call offside or they're going to call procedure. If you hold or if you trip, if you do something, they're going to throw a flag on you. So when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's still a game. It's the biggest game of your entire life. Yes, it is. Absolutely. But the fundamentals and the techniques that got you thus far, those are the ones that you need to implement to continue on. And that's the way I tried to approach it. I understood, because when you come out before the game, and you're warming up, the stadium is already buzzing. The stadium is already packed. There's so many cameras, and you have like, excuse me. You know, you're constantly trying to tell people to move out your way because you don't want to run into someone. That's the last thing you want to do is run into someone, and then you're there and you end up missing the game because you ran over a camera person or you ran over someone. So, but you try to just keep it in perspective that this is a game. Yes, it's the biggest game. Just go out there, see the ball, catch the ball, protect the ball, and just give it everything you got, and just hopefully you're on the winning side.
Was the second one harder? I mean, you know, the first one, the Broncos, they don't win Super Bowls. You're going against Green Bay. They had won the Super Bowl. Now you're going into the second one. You're going against Atlanta. I mean, the fact that Dan Reeves got the Falcons there is a minor miracle in itself. Now everybody's expecting you to win. Was that harder carrying that expectation, or is that just from the outside?
No, I think the first one was harder, Pop, for the simple fact is that the NFC had won 13 consecutive Super Bowls. The Green Bay Packers were the reigning defending champs. And they say, well, what are you going to do with the defending champ? I said, well, we don't want what they have. We can't get that Super Bowl. We want the one that's up for grabs now. That's the one we want. And Mike told us at the start of the season, the following year after we won the Super Bowl, he said, if you want to be remembered, if you want to be considered great, you got to do these things back-to-back. He said very few teams do it back-to-back. He said a lot of teams have won one in a row, but there are very few teams that's been able to follow it up, be it because of injury, be it because of guys lose focus, they become complacent. But for me, I trained even harder, I think, for the second one than I did the first one, and because I wanted to be thought of as great. I wanted to be on a team that went back and did it again. Now, I personally think our 97 team was better than the 98 team, but we were 12-4 in a wild card in 97, and we were 14-2 in the AFC West, had home field throughout in 98. But if player for player, if you look at our 97 team, because we had Gary Zimmerman at left tackle and we had T-Bone, Tony Jones at right tackle, I thought we were a better football team. Although we won more games, we scored more points. We had a lot of guys had a lot of records and a lot of success in 98. But I thought our 97 team was better. But we knew Atlanta couldn't beat us. Not only if we'd have played our B game, they couldn't have beat us if they played their A game. We were just a better football team than they were.
So then you transition to Baltimore, and you find yourself in Super Bowl 35. Different role for you, different cast of characters. Elway's the central figure when you're in Denver. Now you're going to a team where they're looking for leadership in other spots. What was it like going to Baltimore and having to have a different role?
It was fun. It was great. I remember during the recruiting process and talking to Ozzie and Art Modell, and I remember when I said, okay, I'm coming, guys. And I just said, look, I don't want you to change now. I don't want you to get here and be something you're not. I heard about who you are and what you are. Don't change. Do not change. And, and Brian says, hey, you're our leader. And these guys are going to go as you go. And that was what I wanted to hear. And I always tried to, stay positive. I think the thing that really helped is that I immediately became very good friends with Rod Woodson and Ray Lewis. And at the time, I didn't know that we were going to be a defensive football team. I thought we could, move the ball. We had drafted Jamal Lewis in the first round, I think the fifth pick in the draft, a running back. Kadri Ismail had just caught 4,000 yards. I knew Jermaine Lewis. He was a great special teams guy. He was going to get some offensive snaps. So I thought we could be pretty good. But I quickly saw that we were going to be a defensive-oriented football team, and if we didn't turn the football over, we could win some games. The hard part was when we started to struggle. We went 5 games and we didn't score a touchdown, but we won 3 of those games. And I just told the guys, and I remember Ray and Rod saying, "Shay, man, what y'all got? What's going on over there?" I said, "We'll get it fixed." I say, I just need you guys publicly to support what we got going on, and we'll get it fixed. We'll do a better job of taking care of the football. We won't put you guys in harm's way, and we'll score enough points that you guys need to do. You guys can take the game, take us home. And that's the way we started to play. And they backed us. They said, "Hey, we're a team," because they knew no matter how great they were, they couldn't go to the Super Bowl without our offense. It's a team game. This is the ultimate team game. And I was asking those guys to trust in me that I was going to be able to get the guys offensively to do what we needed to do to put just enough points on the board, and then they could bring us home. And we got hot, and once we got hot, we knew if we scored 10 points on you early, it was over. You weren't driving the football. Unless you got a couple of pick sixes or some scooping scores, you weren't going to beat us.
How rewarding an experience was that for you to go to a different team, being made a leader right out of the gate? I've been telling you, don't change, Shannon. We need you to be who you are. And then sort of lead and watch this thing manifest itself into another Lombardi trophy and another Super Bowl ring for you. It's a different role for you, but it had to be very satisfying in a different way.
Now, I'm telling you what they told me that Art and Ozzie and Brian Billy told me, but that's not what I told them. I became a leader because they knew every Monday and every Tuesday on my day off, I was over there working out. They saw every day when I came to work, I brought my own food. They saw every day that I'm taking notes in the front of the class. They saw every day that if I saw someone not doing what they were supposed to do, I would get on them. That's what made me a leader in their eyes. They didn't know that Brian and them kind of bestowed that role on me. And so for me, it was very gratifying because I don't think Mike thought I could play anymore. I couldn't be that player that could go and dominate a game anymore. So he felt that they would be better served spending the money that they were going to have to pay me, in other areas. I understood that. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset that Mike didn't want to pay me. I was upset that he thought he could get someone better than me. If you want to keep me and give me a smaller salary, okay, let me think about that. But don't tell me, no, we think we can find someone better, or we think we can find someone that can do your job better than you. That's what got me upset. And so, yeah, there was something to prove because I had to prove to myself. I wasn't trying to prove them wrong. I was trying to prove me right, that it was a freak collarbone injury that knocked me out for 12 games that limited that killed my production. It wasn't because I was slowing down. It wasn't because I couldn't play anymore. And it was very satisfying, Pop, to go there and to put up some numbers. Although there weren't the numbers that I was customarily putting up, they were very good numbers given the offense that we ran and the amount of times that we threw the football. So it was very gratifying to be able to go out there and play at a level that I knew I still could play at, and be rewarded at the end of the day by being in the Super Bowl and actually winning it.
It all ends up with you going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And you gave one of the best speeches that I can remember, paying homage to your brother, who was a great player in his own right, whose career was cut short by injury. Are you able to look back at it now and really soak in what you've been able to accomplish, and the fact that your bust sits there forever, as long as the history of the league is spoken about and written about and talked about? Shannon Sharpe is in a place that you can't talk about the history of the league without talking about Shannon Sharpe.
It's kind of hard, Pop. I still don't believe it when people they say Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame and Super Bowl winner. It's kind of hard and it's surreal, but my friends don't look at me like that. Those are the people that I see most of the time. They still call me names. They still make fun of me. My sister still called me a lot of times by my nickname that she gave me when I was a little kid. So I'm flattered. I'm happy for what I was able to accomplish, and I realized I could not have accomplished those things without the help of a lot of great people. But sometimes when I think about that I am in the Hall of Fame and I walk by my hallway closet and I look and I'm looking for something and I'll see the wooden bust that the replica that they give you and it's sitting in there on the floor because I can't put it up because my dogs will go crazy because it looks so much like me. All they do is bark at it. So it's in my hallway closet on the floor where I see the gold jacket. I realize, like, wow, I did some pretty amazing things.
Do you ever put the jacket on?
Only for special occasions. I went to an appearance. I did the Army All-American game, and that was one of the things that I had to go and I had to wear it. But for the most part, no, I don't put it on. I don't put on my Hall of Fame ring. As for that matter, all the rings are in a safe deposit box in the bank. I wore it when they put it on me. The home game in Denver when I got it in front of all those fans in Denver, and I haven't had it on since.
Why do you keep it so real, so simple?
Because at the end of the day, that's really what I am. That's just the way my grandmother raised me. That's what she would want me to be. That's how she would want me to be. People know what I was able to accomplish. I don't need to remind people. I'm just a normal guy. I come out sometimes when people see me. I don't do a whole lot of talking in public, Pop. If I don't know you, I'm not going to come up and start carrying on conversation to you. If I'm in the gym, I don't really do a whole lot of talking. I got a buddy that he and I work out with, and we kind of talk amongst ourselves, but that's just how I am. And sometimes people say I'm conceited, I'm arrogant, but I just don't know you. And I don't trust a whole lot of people. I automatically assume that I'm being recorded, sound, or videotape, camera, video. I automatically assume, and I just think that, everybody doesn't have Shannon Sharpe's best interest in mind and in heart. And so I'll just be better left to just, hey, high five, and keep it moving.
Yeah, you told me this like in a hotel or whatever. You won't be alone in an elevator with just a woman, right?
No, absolutely not. I won't let women servers come in my room alone. I'll take it at the door, sign the ticket, and that's it. And a guy asked me. He said, "Well, I heard you on the radio say that," and I was at the Army All-American game. He said, "I heard you say that," and I didn't know. I was like, I find that odd. He said, "But one of my officers," she said, she took a picture with you at the elevator, and when the elevator came, you told her you would take the next one. I absolutely know, because I've learned is that sometimes the mention of impropriety is enough to sway people's opinion of you, and I just try to always, look, you can't please everybody, nor should you try to, but if I can avoid a situation, I will definitely try to avoid that situation at all costs.
You work out like you're still playing. You're in unbelievable shape. People go to your website, they see the pictures. I mean, you look awesome. And I'm just being honest, Shannon. You're strict with your diet. You don't mess with. Do you allow yourself any little food pleasures?
I do. I'm not as strict as I was when I played. I was about 2,000 calories a day. Plus, I would do cardio in the morning before I worked out, and then we would work, obviously do all the running during the day, and occasionally, a couple of times a week, I would still do cardio 30 minutes after practice. I allow myself a little more leeway now, but when I do, I work out probably more. So if I know I'm going to have something bad on the weekend, I would probably work out an extra hour to try to burn it off. Or if I'm going to have something during the course of the week, I'll work out a couple, do cardio extra hour. That's just the way I am.
What's bad? What's bad for you though? Ice cream, pizza. What's your guilty pleasure? I'm not that big of an ice. I like maybe chicken fingers occasionally. I like a flatbread pizza that I get occasionally. I don't really have
I wake up and I eat oatmeal and egg whites and, I have someone prepare. So for the most part, I'll eat what's prepared for me. But occasionally, my girlfriend, she's like, well, I want to go out to eat. And then, I'll order dessert or but for the most part, even when I go out, it's always fish or it's always chicken. It's not like I'm eating, fried chicken or something that's really, really bad. I'll get fish or I'll get chicken or occasionally I'll get like 6 to 8 ounces of steak. But
you don't eat for pleasure at all.
I don't. It's kind of hard because I've done this for so long now. It's kind of ingrained. I used to tell myself once the season was over, I said I'm going to eat whatever I want for a month. That lasted for about 2 days, and then I was back eating normal. But I wouldn't run, I wouldn't do anything. I would take the month completely off, and then once that month was over, I was right back lifting, right back running, and right back on my grind. And that was because I always felt that someone, I knew that they were looking at some tight end somewhere. Well, maybe he's better than Shannon. Maybe he can lift more. Maybe he can run block better or catch better passes. So I was always very conscious, and I took the approach, and I was excited. I laid out my work, and I still do. I lay out my workout clothes the night before I go work out, just like I did when I was playing, where I would lay out my outfit, what I was going to wear to work the next day. And I would always drive to work saying to myself, I got to give the Broncos one reason today to want to keep me tomorrow.
Speaking of
one reason.
Speaking of the Broncos, I know you're picking them. I know where your heart is. Tell me why the Denver Broncos are going to win Super Bowl 50.
Because I believe Manning will do enough. He doesn't need 400, but if he takes care of the football, the Denver Broncos defense, it can be legendary. Now, Cam is better than when they played a couple of years ago when they sacked him 7 times. He's a better player, and when they picked him up twice, he's a better player. But I believe this defense is better. You got 2 great defenses going against each other. We know what the Carolina's offense, what they're capable of. But I believe the Broncos can make enough plays. I believe if they don't turn the football over, they're going to have a chance to win this ball game. And it's hard to bet against Peyton Manning. It just seems like the way it started and the way it's about to end, it almost seems Hollywood. But the thing I say about Hollywood is scripted. This is real life, and so it doesn't always go according to plan. But it just seems like it has a certain feel to it.
If this game is played relatively straight up, how does Carolina win the game?
Well, this is the first team that the Broncos are going to play, I think, in a very long time that can actually run the football and throw the football. So you just can't pin your ears back and go get them like they did Tom Brady or pin your ears back like they did Roethlisberger. They can run the football. Jonathan Stewart, Tolbert, they're a very good running back. And then you got probably their best running back happens to be the quarterback. And so not only can he run the football, he can also throw it 70 yards. So they got their work cut out for them. This is a very good football team. This is probably the most complete football team from an offensive, defensive, and a special team standpoint because they got Ted Ginn in the return game, and we know he's electric. So this is the most complete team that they will have faced all year. But I think Gary will have these guys ready to play, and it's going to be a very exciting ball game.
Think Demaryius Thomas kind of wakes up a little bit here?
Well, he's going to have to see. The thing is about Carolina, they're not a big man-to-man team. They believe they can stop you. They play a lot of cover too. They believe they can stop your run game with their front 7, and so that way they don't have to compromise. Because we've seen when they've kind of struggled when they've had to match up one-on-one. Even because we saw what Beckham was able to do, and we saw New Orleans how they got back into the ball game. We see, Julio Jones had to make a heck of a play, but they're a zone team. They want you to nickel and dime your way down the field, and we feel that if you got to go 12 to 15 plays to get the ball in the end zone, you'll either fumble it or we'll pick you off before you get the ball there. So they don't take a whole lot of risk. Now, if they feel you move the ball a little bit with too much ease, then they'll come out of that coverage and they'll corner blitz you, they'll safety blitz you, they'll bring one of those linebackers, Kinkley or Davis. But for the most part, they like to play you kind of straight up, kind of cover 2 and make you, methodically go down the field.
In a low-scoring Denver, you think it's a low-scoring Denver win?
Yeah, I don't see. We know 49 points one week, 31 the week before. They led the league in scoring. I would be shocked if they were able to get more than 20 to 23 points. I would be very surprised if they were able to put more than that on the board. Now, if the Broncos turn the football over, they're not sound in the kicking game. Yeah, but from an offensive standpoint, I really don't see the Panthers scoring more than 23 against that defense.
All right, so in wrapping up here, just a couple quick hitters, because I know that you're an awesome movie guy, and you could actually quote lines from movies, and you do it during our series show all the time. You got it down in memory. Shannon, you're snowed in, even though you don't live where it's snowy, but you're snowed in somewhere, and you can't get out, you can't do anything, and you get to pick two movies. What are the two movies you're putting on that day?
A Few Good Men and Silence of the Lambs. And if I've already burned through them, I'm gonna take Denzel. I'll take Denzel Training Day or Denzel and Malcolm X. But those are the movies that I got to see. It's got to be long, and it's got to be scenes that you're like, wow, this is an unbelievable job that they're doing here.
And you have the scene from Few Good Men memorized, which is crazy.
Man, that was Jack is probably my favorite because I remember seeing him in The Shining when he's chopping the axe and he sticks his head through the door and he's like, "Here's Johnny," and then so I kind of fell in love with him then. And then watching him do Batman and About Schmidt and the movie that he did with Greg Kinnear, as good as it gets. And so I kind of fell in love with Jack doing all those. But that Few Good Men with him and Tom Cruise in the courtroom, that might be one of the best scenes ever.
And then finally, you are as well-read and as informed about world events, non-sports, history, American history, sports history of any person I've ever met. Like you and I talked during the breaks, we've talked, and your knowledge of things goes so far beyond football. So I'll ask you this, even though I know you're not big on eating, but if you were able to sit around at a big table and you could pick 5 people, historical, present, athlete, maybe not athlete, and sit around and have one of these long-winded, winding dinners where it's just sitting around and, some guys would be sipping wine or whatever. But it's just one of those long meals where you talk. Who would be your ideal guests?
My first one would be Dr. Martin Luther King. My second one would be Mandela. My third would be Winston Churchill. My fourth would be Malcolm X, and the fifth one would be my brother. And I know people are like, well, why would you want to invite your brother? Because I don't want to go anywhere without him, and I would want him to experience that also.
Would you be talking smack at that dinner too?
Yeah, I would. But you know what? I would just. Because the historical perspective of Dr. King, of each individual other than my brother, meant something to society and has a big place in society. And I just want to know why, how they knew that was their calling.
That's awesome stuff. Shannon, I appreciate a couple minutes. This is fascinating, a little window into the man, not just the football analyst. Awesome stuff, and thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Anytime, Pop. Have a good one.